There is a massive lie floating around the gun counter, and it usually costs new hunters about $1,000 they didn't need to spend. You walk in looking for your first hunting rig, and some guy tries to sell you a precision chassis rifle that weighs as much as a cinder block, or a shotgun with more rails than a subway station. That is garbage advice. You do not hand a 16-year-old the keys to a Formula One car for their first driving lesson. You put them in a Honda Civic. You need something that forgives your mistakes, not something that amplifies them. We are looking for tools, not trophies. We need gear that can take a beating in the brush, cycle rounds when your hands are freezing, and put meat in the freezer without requiring a degree in ballistics. I've lined up the 8 best platforms for someone just starting out. We are ranking these from the bare-bones entry-level options up to the absolute heavy hitters that you will likely keep until you're too old to walk the woods. Let's cut the noise and get to work. We are kicking things off at number 8 with the absolute gateway into the world of gunpowder. If you have never fired a shot in your life, starting with a .30-06 is like trying to learn to box by fighting Mike Tyson. You are just going to develop a flinch. You start here, the Ruger 1022. Think of this thing as the Honda Super Cub of the gun world. It's everywhere, parts are cheap, and it just refuses to quit. For a beginner, this is your primary teacher. It eats .22 long rifle ammo, which means you can shoot all afternoon for the price of a fast food lunch. You aren't hunting elk with this, obviously. This is for small game, squirrels, rabbits, keeping the garden clear. It forces you to learn the fundamentals of breathing and trigger squeeze because there is zero recoil to distract you. The reality check? It feels small. If you're a big guy, it might feel a bit like a toy in your hands. But I've seen seasoned hunters take more meat with a 1022 over a lifetime than with any Magnum caliber, simply because they can actually afford to practice with it. It's reliable, it's fun, and it builds the muscle memory you'll need for the bigger stuff later. Moving up the ladder, we trade volume for discipline at number 7. Sometimes, having too many bullets makes you lazy. You spray and pray. To fix that, you look at a single-shot break-action shotgun, like the ones from Rossi or the old H&Rs. This is the strict school teacher of firearms. You get one shot. That's it. You miss? The bird is gone, the deer is laughing at you, and you are standing there fumbling to reload. It forces you to be patient. It forces you to stalk closer. It's basically a steel pipe with a trigger, primitive as dirt. The downside is usually the weight, or lack of it. Because these things are so simple and stripped down, they are light. And because they are light, when you put a heavy hunting load in there, it is going to wake you up. I remember watching a buddy hand one of these to his nephew for turkey season. The kid learned real quick that you better have that stock pulled tight into your shoulder pocket, or you're going home with a bruise. It's not comfortable, but it teaches you respect for the recoil. Now, let's say you are ready for deer season, but your wallet is looking a little thin. Coming in at number 6 is the Savage Axis II. For years, budget rifles were synonymous with garbage rods. They had triggers that felt like dragging a piano across a gravel road. Savage changed the game with this one. It's the ugly duckling. The stock is plastic. It feels hollow, and it has zero soul. You pick it up, and it feels cheap. But then you pull the trigger. Savage put their AccuTrigger in these budget rifles, which is user-adjustable and breaks crisp like a glass rod. That is rare at this price point. I was at the range last fall and watched a guy with a rusted-out truck uncase a Savage Axis. Next to him was a guy with a $3,000 custom rig. The guy with the Savage was punching cloverleaf groups at 100 yards, while the other guy was still trying to figure out his optic. It's not an heirloom piece you hand down to your grandkids but it puts meat on the table efficiently. Stepping into number 5, we have the undisputed king of blue-collar versatility, the Mossberg 500, or its rougher cousin, the Maverick 88. If the Savage is the ugly duckling, the Mossberg is the tank. This is the shotgun you throw in the bed of the truck, drop in the mud, maybe paddle a canoe with, and it still cycles when you rack the slide. It is famously loose. If you shake it, it rattles. People complain about that Mossberg rattle, thinking it's a defect. It's not. That looseness is tolerance. It means that when grit, sand, or pine needles get in the action, the gun doesn't seize up like a tight-fitting Swiss watch. It just chews through it. It's a pump action, so the reliability depends on you working that slide with authority. Short stroke it, and you jam. But master that rhythm, and you have a tool that can take a deer with slugs, drop a duck with shot, or defend the hallway at 2 a.m. It is the Swiss Army knife for the guy who doesn't want to carry a knife. We are crossing the halfway point at number 4, where we leave the ultra-budget category and step into the modern standard, the Ruger American Rifle. If the Savage Axis is the car you buy because you have to, the Ruger American is the one you buy because it's actually a solid machine. This platform basically killed the market for expensive hunting rifles because it does everything 90% of hunters need for half the price. It uses a 3-lug bolt, which means you don't have to lift the bolt handle as high to cycle it. That sounds like a small detail until you have a low-mounted scope and your knuckles keep smashing into the glass every time you reload. The stock is still synthetic, but it feels less like a hollow toy and more like a tool. It's got bedding blocks inside that lock the action in place. I took a Ruger American Predator out in a sleet storm last November, conditions where I wouldn't take a Woodstock Beauty. The bolt made a bit of a zipper sound, a little rough on the machining, but when I lined up on a coyote at 200 yards, the round went exactly where the crosshairs settled. It's boringly reliable. It's the Toyota Camry of the deer woods. Number 3 brings us back to the scatterguns, and this is the one your grandfather probably swore by. The Remington 870. Now, I have to keep it real with you guys. For a while there, Remington had some quality control issues. We called them Rustingtons because they'd oxidize if you looked at them wrong. But the design itself? It is legendary for a reason. Unlike the Mossberg, with its aluminum receiver, the 870 is built on steel. It is heavy. When you pick it up, it feels dense. That weight is actually a huge plus for a beginner. In bird hunting, you need to keep the gun moving, or swinging, through the target. A light gun stops too fast. A heavy gun like the 870 carries its own momentum. It smooths out your jittery rookie movement. Plus, that action. When you rack an 870 that's been broken in, it feels like ball bearings rolling on glass. It has that distinctive metallic clack-clack that you hear in every movie ever made. It commands authority. Just make sure you keep it oiled, or it will punish you. At the runner-up spot, number 2, we have the first rifle on this list that truly feels premium without requiring a second mortgage. The Tikka T3X Lite. This comes from Finland, and if there is one thing the Finns know, it's how to make rifles that work in the frozen hellscape. The difference here is the tolerance. With the budget American guns, you can feel the friction. With the Tikka, the bolt is so smooth that if you tilt the rifle up and press the release, gravity pulls the bolt open. It's slick. For a beginner, this is a confidence builder. The barrel is high quality right out of the box. You don't need to upgrade anything. You buy it, you mount a scope, and you are shooting sub-MOA. That means groups smaller than an inch at 100 yards. However, there is a catch. It's called the light for a reason. It is extremely light. That is great when you are hiking up a mountain, but when you pull the trigger on a .308 or a .270, physics takes over. There is less mass to absorb the energy, so it kicks sharper than the 870 or the Ruger. It snaps back at you. It's a Ferrari engine in a go-kart frame. You get precision, but you have to hold on tight. And now, we reach the summit. Number 1. This is the rifle that sits right in the sweet spot between a working man's budget and a rich man's toy. The Bergara B14 Hunter. If the Remington 700 was the old master of the rifle world, the Bergara B14 is the prodigy student who surpassed him. This gun is basically a clone of the classic 700 platform, but built with modern precision that the big American companies stopped caring about years ago. When you pick up the B14, the first thing you notice is the stock. It's synthetic, yeah, but it's not that hollow, drum-like plastic you get on the budget guns. It's rubberized. It grips you back. It feels like a handshake from someone you trust. The action is where the magic happens. It has a coned bolt nose that feeds rounds so smoothly, you will sometimes wonder if you actually chambered a cartridge. It is fluid. The reality check here is that it is not the lightest rifle on the rack, and it's not the cheapest. You are paying a premium over the Ruger or the Savage. But here is why it takes the crown. You will never outgrow this rifle. You can start with it as a complete novice, and 20 years later, when you are a seasoned expert, this gun will still perform at your level. It fits all the aftermarket parts of a Remington 700, so you can modify it until the end of time. It is the only gun on this list that feels like a custom build right out of the factory box. It doesn't just do the job, it makes you enjoy doing it. We looked at a lot of steel today, from the plinking .22s to the high-end bolt actions. The trend you need to see here is simple. Precision is cheap these days, but feel and finish are what cost money. You can drop a deer with a $300 rifle just as dead as you can with a $3,000 one. The difference is just how much you enjoy the walk to the stand. Don't let the gear snobs bully you into buying more than you need. The best gun is the one you can afford to practice with until you can hit a dinner plate at 200 yards with your eyes closed. I want to hear from the veterans down in the comments. What was the very first piece of iron you carried into the woods? Did you love it? Or was it a piece of junk? Let me know. If this guide saved you from wasting a paycheck on the wrong rig, subscribe to the channel. Train hard. Stay safe.